The other story this week, and this is unbelievable. So ESPN broke this story, and I'll read part of it here to you right now. This is from ESPN.com. It concerns Vince McMahon and the XFL. We haven't heard about the XFL for a while. Ever since the first announcement, things sort of died down, and he kind of got shown up in a way by Dick Ebersol's kid, who's starting his own football league, and now they're going to be competing, I guess. But this was the story on ESPN. Vince McMahon's commitment to his relaunched football league is significantly larger than originally expected. The WWE chairman, who began funding the league by selling approximately $100 million in WWE stock. And yeah, by the way, what an idiot he looks like now, huh, for doing that. Because if he would have held on to that stock, the stock, last I checked, it was like well over $70. So I don't have the numbers as far as how much more he could have cashed out and made off that stock had he just waited a few months. But he probably is looking at that going, damn, if I would have just held out a little bit longer, because he sold a lot of shares of that WWE stock, and that stock, ever since the TV news started sort of bubbling up, has been climbing and climbing and climbing. And now, like I said, the other day, I saw the after hours, they have like the aftermarket trading numbers, and the stock at one point was like at $77 a share. It was definitely not $77 when Vince cashed out, I could tell you that, but anyway, the belief was that he was only going to be putting about the $100 million in, which is a lot of money as it is, and he was going to use that to fund at least the initial operations for the XFL. Well, now the story here on ESPN.com says that he expects to spend closer to $500 million in the league's first 3 seasons. That's just for the first 3 seasons, if it makes it that far. First 3 seasons, $500 million. The CEO of the XFL is this guy named Oliver Luck. He talked to ESPN. He said the biggest cost is going to be salaries to pay the players and coaches. He said the average salary for the 40-man roster is going to be around $75,000, with players who are more in demand obviously making a lot more than that. And the other significant cost is insurance to cover player injuries. And he didn't say how much coverage the league will have, but he did say that the insurance premiums will come to more than $10 million a year. And I see a lot of people, bashing this. And of course, they're talking about, well, it would be nice if Vince can pay his talent or offer insurance to his own talent. And, he's putting all this money into what will very likely be another failed football experiment. Okay. I mean, Vince, for all of his failures, he's also had a lot of successes. And so, look, maybe in 3 years we look back on this, and I'm eating my words. But Vince McMahon does not have a lot of success when he is dealing with things or working in a sandbox that has nothing to do with wrestling. That's just a fact. And we've talked about this before. A bodybuilding federation, the first XFL, they had the restaurant in Times Square. There's probably 1 or 2 other examples that you can come up with. And they've all failed. And even the failures that he's had in wrestling, right? He's had failures in wrestling too, but he's had way more success. The WWE Network. Maybe the numbers aren't quite where they would have hoped they'd be by now, but I would say the network has been a rousing success overall. But again, that's a wrestling project. So that's a WWE project. Anytime he peeks his head out of his own sandbox and tries to do something else, he fails. So I think people are well within their right to think that this is going to be another failure, but we'll see. But again, people are saying, oh, it'd be nice if he took that money and put it towards, WWE talent. And it is interesting to note, though, that, his own performers in WWE don't get health insurance through the company. They don't get a 401k. They don't get a pension. There's no retirement plan. And them not offering insurance is fine if these guys were truly independent contractors. But of course, they're not. Even though they classify them as such, they're not. By definition, they're not independent contractors. So we can get into that whole debate. I've talked about this before and what a farce that is. But all the people complaining and bashing Vince for this, they're missing the point here. This $500 million is coming from Vince McMahon's personal fortune. He can do whatever he wants with it. It's his money. It's not company money. It's his money. If he wants to flush it all down the toilet, he's well within his rights to do so. If he wants to make little origami birds out of all those dollar bills and launch them off a building, he can do that. I mean, it's not like he hasn't wasted his money on failed experiments before. He spent $100 million of his own money to finance 2 failed Senate bids for his wife. Still, I love that because one of the greatest things still to this day that I've ever seen. After she, and what a failure. I mean, those 2 Senate runs for Linda McMahon, she just failed. And after she lost, I think the final time, she's up on stage giving a thank you address to all of her supporters. She's just been defeated. And Vince McMahon is on stage with her, but he's not like right behind her. He's not right beside her. You would think, oh, it's her husband. He'd be right there. He's on stage, but he's like all the way in the back. There's so many people. He's like in the back. It's like trying to find Waldo. And like it's almost like he doesn't want anybody to see him, right? It's like the Hall of Fame every year. He stays in the back. He doesn't want to come out and be seen. Only once, I think, when he inducted Steve Austin, did he come out. But just as Linda McMahon is on stage giving her speech and shouting him out and thanking her husband, I'd like to thank my husband, Vince. The camera pans out just in time. You catch Vince rolling his eyes. He's, like, as soon as she says that, he just rolls his eyes. It is the most hilarious thing. And he has this look on his face the entire time as she's speaking. Like somebody who realizes, oh shit, I just lost $100 million on this. So the point is, like, he's made a lot more money than he's lost, I would think, over the course of his life. If he wants to lose some more of it, more power to him. But just people have to remember here, it's his money this time. And that's the biggest difference. Last time the XFL failed, that was a $30 million loss for WWE. It was a WWE NBC partnership. And so the company lost money. That was money that was really pulled out of the company that they lost. This time, it's all on him, so he can do whatever he wants with it.